Welcome to the Wine Cage. I'm Dylan.
I'm Amanda.
And this evening we've got a special one for you. This one, the Eldridge Estate Single Vineyard 2019 Pinot Noir. And this is a special one, you can see, because producer Wolfie has joined us. It was an important enough review that he felt he had to be present. So this is a winery in Red Hill that we went to and tasted their range. This was our favourite pick out of their range. We're not really white drinkers, but that one white that they had was bloody great.
It's very nice.
Was that just, I believe that was just the single vineyard, it wasn't a Chardonnay, was it? No, it was a Sauvignon Blanc. That's what it was, I think.
I thought it was a Chardonnay.
Oh, maybe it was a Chardonnay.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, they're equal. I think it was also a 2019, maybe.
Yeah.
2019 single vineyard white was amazing, and we don't really like white wine, so that's saying something. But, of course, being red drinkers, this one really stood out for us. Now, this is a bit different to our regular reviews because it sits at a much higher price bracket. This was $80 from the winery. Normally, we review in the $10 to $50 range. So this one is a bit special, but we really wanted to review it. And before we get into the taste, and even before we get into the label, I guess, did you want to talk about the experience you had going to the winery?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it was very nice. It was a very small winery. We kind of picked it randomly. We were driving along this road that had a bunch of wineries along, and we were like that one. We
were going to go do a tasting at another, but they were too busy. They were in the middle of lunch, and it was going to be too hard to do a tasting. And yeah, I hadn't been to this one, and we checked it out, and it proved to be just a very serene atmosphere. It was quiet, has a beautiful cellar door that's open on the front and back so that it has this, very open feeling, a deck overlooking the vineyard, and a very nice lady working at the cellar door and doing the tastings.
Yeah, I didn't catch her name, but she was very just helpful, answered all our questions. We were lucky to go when there was nobody else there, which I think helped. But the experience was just very soothing, wasn't it?
Very soothing, very nice. Had a lovely tasting. They did the tasting on the deck, so they brought the tasting out. And we took our time and really savoured all of the wines and really checked them out in depth. So it was a lovely experience, and we were not disappointed with the wines either. But before we get to that, we always talk about the label first, just because it's kind of fun, nice little lead up to the actual tasting. This is a pretty classic label, but why don't you let me know what you think of it?
Yeah, it's pretty classic. It's hard to sort of fault this one. It's not trying to be anything except for high end, I think. This is the type of design that you often see on the higher sort of end wines, don't you think? They don't feel like they have to prove themselves through their graphic design, which kind of appeals to me.
I guess they're not going for that eye-catching on the shelf look.
Exactly.
At all. They're I don't know, maybe they're operating beyond that. They're just keeping it classic.
Yeah, and something I like about the vibe of this one is that it doesn't feel like they're trying to pitch themselves at any specific audience. Like, I feel a lot of graphic design is very much like once you look at enough of it, you start to get an idea for like, oh, this is aimed at 20 to 30-year-olds, or oh, this is aimed at, women, or this is aimed at people above 70, or so on and so forth. This one, I think, I more get the vibe from this one that they were just like, this is our brand. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so pretty classic label. I don't really have anything to say about it. I appreciate that it's got a little, I'm not sure what that is. Do you think that that's a painting, or do you think that's been photoshopped? It's a little picture of the buildings of the vineyard, I assume.
Looks like an illustration to me.
But it's charming, and it gives you something else to look at rather than just, the various text. So that's the presentation, pretty straightforward. let's see if I can shuffle my way towards my wine glass. Let's see how it looks and tastes. Sorry, Wolfie. So I wanted to point out, first, colour-wise on this one, not so much in this light, but did you notice that it's less magenta, less purpley? It's got a slightly more rusty colour to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not quite in the orange end, but it's definitely less sort of purple than a lot of the wines we've drunk lately.
You can especially see it towards the edges. It has that slight port colouring.
It does.
And that does get reflected later in the tasting notes as well. So that's a look. How does it smell? So for me, this one on the nose it's pretty subtle, but what you do get is rich, layered, slightly floral, but deep. It has depth to it. Do you have any thoughts on the nose?
Yeah, to me it sort of smells somehow both fresh and dusty at the same time.
We have strong roast vegetable and herb vibe going in our place at the moment because of dinner coming up. So it's actually competing a bit with that.
It's got a great smell though.
Lovely nose, subtle. There's no irritating notes on the nose on this at all. It's just nice. But let's see how it tastes. Okay, for the taste for this one, first of all, I just want to say that it's great. It's what you expect from an $80 Pinot. It's punchy up front. It has this lingering dark fruit flavour. There's a decent amount of spice, but also some classy sweetness. That slight hint of port. Not too much, but a bit of that. It just tastes like high quality wine, as you would expect and hope it to. It's refreshing, weirdly. I don't know if you get that, but it feels, it's not, what am I trying to say? It's not spicy or velvety in your throat kind of thing. It's actually quite refreshing to drink.
Yeah, it's sort of, you know how you sip at some wines and you're like, this is going to be a whole meal just finishing this glass of wine. This is not like that. This is, like you said, it's refreshing. It's sort of light and almost airy tasting, but in a good way. It's still got a lot of presence.
That's it. It's got this this rich, layered, quite complex, upfront, punchy flavour that lingers in your mouth while the wine still comes off watery in a good way, in a way that's sort of thirst quenching, and then that flavour just lingers and fades away beautifully. There's no bad evolution, as in it doesn't become more sour, toward the finish or anything like that. Just that lovely taste just lingers, this sort of edge spiciness that just fades away in a very balanced, classy way. Do you got any other tasting notes?
Yeah, the end is quite spicy. It's very nice though, and I agree. There's sort of no there are zero flavors that you wouldn't want in a wine in this, which is rare. I mean, as we mentioned at the start, we don't normally review wines in this price bracket. That could reflect the wines that we normally buy, perhaps. But we drink a lot of Pinots, and when we go out for dinner, we'll often try whatever Pinots they have just to try it. Usually any glass of Pinot we get has some sort of drawback. It's my understanding, now I don't know a lot about wine, but it's my understanding that Pinot is one of the more finicky varieties. I
think it's just harder to get right.
Yeah.
Especially a cool climate Pinot.
Yeah.
So you're right. Often Pinot will have some note that that's a little bit like, there's that edge, there's that sharpness, there's that sourness. This does not have that. It's just classy all the way through. And this one can definitely be enjoyed on its own, which that's a compliment in itself. Now, on the price point thing, though, I do want to point out that although we usually review in the $10 to $50 range, and this is an $80 red, some of the ones that we've reviewed in much lower price points are not maybe quite as good as this, but they can compete.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so do keep an open mind to some of the lesser expensive reds, and there certainly have been some Pinots, especially some European ones that, they're not quite on this level, but they're close, and that's an achievement. So do check out our other Pinot reviews. Not much else to say about this. What do you give this out of 10?
I think I'd be giving it a 9, which would be the first 9 that I've given a wine.
Yeah, this is our first 9, I believe, at least definitely is in the videos. I give it a 9 as well. So a 9 out of 10. I don't know. That's basically that it's just brilliant.
It's pretty amazing.
We're leaving that extra 1 for the, to have our minds blown one day.
The God tier wine, which we're holding out for.
God tier. Yeah. So all in all, highly recommend the Eldridge Estate Single Vineyard Pinot Noir from 2019. Go and check out the winery itself if you can, but otherwise, do not have any hesitation in picking this up. As for repurchase, at that price point, it's not going to be a wine that we're going to buy often, but we've already gifted it to one set of friends. So as a special occasion or a gift wine, you can't go wrong with this one. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add other than please let us know if you've had any good Pinots lately, especially if you've had any good Australian Pinots, but even European ones. We'd love to hear. Put them in the comments so that we can look them up and possibly hunt them down as well. Otherwise, we are about to enjoy a very, very lovely vegetarian roast dinner with this magnificent Pinot. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Wine Cage.
Cheers.